Okay, so I thought I'd do a video where I just do like a podcast kind of thing. I don't know if I'll make this a series, but I wanted to talk about kind of like why or what to do. Yeah, what to do when you're stuck as like a really good player or an up and coming player or whatever. Just that it's a kind of feeling that a lot of people get. And what I mean by being stuck is it's like let's say you're doing a run. Um, we're talking DS2 no hit for if I don't put this in the title. But and I thought, well, I'll just keep going. Um, if you're doing like DS2, I don't know, all bosses, right? And you kind of see that you're getting really bored of the run, or you know the kind of things that people always talk about, where it's like, God, I'm having trouble grinding this. You know I hate the length of the run. I hate there's whenever you hear someone complain about a run, it's always aspects of the run that people hate. Like, oh, this run is too RNG based, or you know, I can't be bothered to play a run this long, or you know, you whenever you have a run that's really difficult, what you need to be doing, and what I've already assumed that people are doing is you've come up with your run process of how to get the run, which what I mean by that is like routing practice, and then whether PB or full game runs, or mix and match of both, just to try and get the run, and then grinding sessions with practice, whatever, just whatever you can do, uh, and you're doing that, right? So you're doing your how you want to get the run. You've practiced the run. You've done lots of effort, but you can't figure out, there's a part of the end of the grind. It's like you're stuck in the grind, and you're getting close to the end of a run or whatever. Like maybe you have a low PB, and you're in that PB1 hell, or you're at like PB5 or something, and you can't progress. And let's back to all bosses, and you're just like, God, I like, or your life circumstances change and you can't run the run anymore or anything like that. Like stuff like that happens, and you just feel screwed, and you're just like, man, I don't know what to do at this point. A lot of people take a break. A lot of people, switch runs or whatever. But I'm here to talk about like my thought process on this situation that happens. It almost happens in every single type of discipline. It happens in working out with a gym. It happens in no hit runs. It happens in, I'm assuming, basically anything to where you have to put in attempts into something or put in reps. You'll get this. So you're like, God, I can't bench 225. I can't get to 225, or I can't get to, you know, I can't start. For some reason, every time I try and rep 135 on bench or something, it's like stuff like that. Or I can't up my squat PR, or I can't run this many miles, or whatever, or I can't beat my freaking PB on all bosses no hit, something like that. It's because I don't want to run it because it's too long, or I don't want to do a run that's RNG based like DS3 speed runs because I'm stuck on I can't stand RNG. Or you get the idea. That's the whole point. So what you really want to do in these situations, you need to find out what. That's where you're gonna find out what makes you who you are as a person in this grind. You're gonna find out what you like and how long you can be saturated in the same thing. So for me, I'm talking about this because I'm stuck. I am literally in this situation right now where I'm doing a run that no one's attempted before, which makes it feel even more helpless, and that with strats that have never been done on runs, and it's the broken straight sword no range, and you're just stuck, and you start to listen to other people's advice, and you're like, man, I don't know what to do because sometimes advice conflicts and it's really irritating. Some people are like, just just follow how you want to be, do whatever you feel like. And you're like, well, if I do whatever I want to do, you know, I don't really want to keep grinding. But also some other guy will say that grinding the run, even when you don't want to, like what David Goggins would say, if you know who I'm talking about, doing it and pushing through suffering, it's where you become, it's where you get your success when you don't want to do the things you kind of do. And what you start to realize when you're trying to take on a more like philosophical approach on doing runs and challenges is that these things are very they're schools of thought, basically, is what these people's advice are. It's their approach on their life, which they're trying to help someone else out. It may not even apply to you because you may be on a different road that doesn't correlate with what they're saying. So you need to find out, while you're stuck in this hell of trying to get this run, you need to find out what you're trying, like what your problem is. So if you're real, like for me, it's RNG. That's what I figured out. I can't with RNG right now. Like I am in a space where, and it sounds kind of, at first it's gonna seem really like weak to say this type of stuff. But like I'm in a space where I can't with RNG. Like I can't do it. Like I'm so sick and tired because my goal is to get better and become a better player, and I can't stand all my runs dying to stuff that isn't my fault. Right? I'm not very patient with stuff like that. I want my deaths in the run to be either the game's fault or my fault, not the strat's fault, because that's the last resort. You know what I mean? So, and I could come up with another example with the all bosses reference thing I was talking, or I can make more references with the example for all boss. If man, I cannot stand having to learn so many different sections, or not learn because you're in the grind. I can't stand having to try and keep up with all this stuff. It's too much, you know? Like DS2 all bosses is a very long run, and if you're stuck in something like that, it's gonna get very aggravating because you're like, well, I mean, I know how to solve this problem. The way you solve it is to grind out every single part individually and um, get as familiar as you can with it, regardless of rust, and just get really familiar with where you're playing, or with each part slowly individually, and then start doing segmented practice every time you go live or every time you get on your playing session. So and that there's the problem, and you're gonna be like, well, I still feel helpless, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad player. You know what I mean? If you feel helpless, and even though you know the solution, that does not mean that you're bad. That's what my whole point of this is. That's when you're stuck. You know the solution to your problem. My solution to my problem is keep grinding until you lower your PB, and then you can get the run, and keep grinding from that point on to get the run. And I'm faced with this solution. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I know how to get the run. But, the disregarding the word motivation and what it stands for in a disciplined scenario, I don't care about this method to achieving my goal anymore. I don't care, because my goal is to be the best DS2 player in the world, no hit wise. It's like I need to prove myself on every standing ground for no hit. Well, maybe I'll change in the future. Maybe I'll be okay with RNG runs, But right now, I'm stuck in a situation where I can't, and you might be in the same part. You might be like, well, I can't, I'm demotivated is what you'll tell yourself. And then you'll see videos of people saying, motivation is not the way. It's all about the grind. And, you need to just keep grinding through it. Well, if you're doing what you're doing because you enjoy it, and if you want to enjoy what you're doing, you have to find the enjoyment in it. You can't just hate it. Like you can't do that. Like I mean you can, but it's not you're not reflecting yourself through your goals anymore. Like you really gotta to have the most fun and get the most done, in my opinion. And I'm not min-maxing your effort and enjoyment here, but to really improve, you have to let your personality shine through the game. So if you don't like something in the moment, don't do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about a specific part of a run. I'm saying if there's an aspect of the run, not a section, but an aspect of the run, don't do the run. It's, you know, especially if, and I'm really talking about big goals runs here, like really hard stuff. If you're farming runs, first of all, you shouldn't do it anyway because you're farming. But if you're trying to get, a farmer role, or you're trying to get the most runs, like if on, I'm talking about Team Hitless Discord here, then don't worry about the whole, don't do this run because you don't like it or whatever. Because you should be doing runs that are below your skill level if you're farming. You're not farming to get better, you're farming to get more runs. That's all farming is. It's just it's like star grinding in Geometry Dash. All you're doing is achieving more points, basically, of you're collecting runs. It's not a very, it's not very good for improvement. It's it's just, getting it done. But anyway, farming is, I'll do another video on farming probably, but when you're, and I just wanted to clarify that so you know that that's not what I'm talking about. For people who are doing run farming, if you're doing something like Markish, or whenever Dev was playing Sekiro, he was doing this a lot. Not as much, really. He was actually not as doing that as much. Or if you're doing, or as much as people think, but, or if you're doing something like Tamazingers in DS1 as well, actually. Or I was doing it in DS2 for a long time, where I got a lot of runs first try or on day one. And it was like, wow, this is your hardest run. You're doing those runs. Those do not reflect your capabilities and skill. That is below your skill level or at your skill level. You're not mastering anything. You're just doing what you can do, and that's fine. It's just a different form of playing the game. But if you're going for a big goal, like you just beat any percent and you're doing an all bosses run, and you feel stuck, maybe, maybe not even maybe, dude. Like if you're feeling stuck, and what I mean by stuck is you cannot force yourself to keep going, and you're like, how do people do it? You're like, how do these great players, or how are they able to push through these awful runs? And it's like, well, it's because they're not in the same situation with the run that you are in right now. They don't despise the game. The if there is if there's stuff with the run that they don't like, they've gotten good enough and consistent at the run that they can avoid the problem. That it's not, is mentally challenging for them. But for in a situation like that all bosses thing, if you're stuck and you feel demotivated is really the word, but if you feel helpless because of some problem, so the run's too long, there's a boss fight that you couldn't be bothered to play, there's RNG, you don't like the game that you're running, there's a lot of different issues. You don't like the run on, like, let's say you're doing Bloodborne no hit and you're trying to get all 7 runs. Finish with Bloodborne. If you have a problem with it, if you're going in order, maybe stop going in order. You can change your goal. People change their what is it in college? Their major in college all the time. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared to make changes to what you're doing. Don't let other people or other people's reactions to what you're doing alter your perception of your path. Don't let people change your path. Your path is yours. You change it. Make mistakes. Maybe if you're stuck and you try and solve the problem, maybe you weren't stuck really, and it was a problem that didn't need to be solved with anything other than effort. That's fine. At least you tried to get better. You have to really care about yourself in these runs. It's like blind effort is not what you need. Effort needs to be put into this game with intention. It 100% intention. As close as 100 as you can get. And again, it's not a big deal if you don't get 100% of your effort put into the game the way you want. But the best players in the world, like Shoki and Gino, they know what they're doing as often as they can. Shoki knows exactly where he's going in his runs. He, if you look at his runs, what he does on each game, he's the best no hit run in the world, by the way. What he does on each game, going from one game to another, is very similar, and that's how he avoids getting stuck. You think I came up with another idea just now. What if you might say, why doesn't Shoki do? Why does Shoki move on from game to game when he could just become the best player in the world at a specific game and achieve his full potential on, let's say, DS2 or DS1? Like, he got insane at DS1 and he was going crazy and he's getting all these SL1 runs. And it was like, what is he doing? And it's like, oh, he has a purpose. It's him in the, like, his runs represent him, is what I'm saying. He's not just a robot playing. He really enjoys the feeling of the run, and all the parts that he doesn't like, he can take it because it's not demotivating to enough of a degree, But if something is too demotivating, and I don't mean, and you have to really, this is a tough thing to figure out when you're stuck, and that's why it's hard, is because you might be wrong. So I'm sorry if I'm confusing you, but it's a very confusing situation to be in. So yeah, I can't really say my bad because it's just something you have to go through. So if you're stuck, there, let me do like a whole sentence here to just kind of say the entire thing, because I'm spewing out all my thoughts and it's not very put together in a concise way, which is kind of hard for people to remember. But also, don't just follow the sentence straight up, because then your brain will start to morph it and you'll do it wrong, and then you'll forget the intention of it. You'll forget extra details that I left out of the video or whatever. That happens all the time. So whenever you're playing and you're doing a big goal, and you feel stuck, and there's like nothing you can do, right? You're like, God, I cannot get this run because I have no idea why. I can't get it. You have to self-examine and reflect upon what your problem is, and it takes a little bit of discipline to do that. You have to be like, okay, well, I don't want to admit it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Doesn't matter. I don't like the run I'm doing anymore, and I don't want to waste all that time that I just spent on this run. Or that's really what it is. I don't like this anymore. I don't want to waste all my time anymore on this. That's what being stuck is, and you just cannot get past the PB. If you really enjoy the run, or if you enjoy it enough to want to keep going, the answer, if you're stuck, is to keep going. Just don't stop playing, keep grinding, and get the run, because this video basically doesn't even apply to you. The answer is to do it based on discipline and ignore demotivation, because it's not a sign. It's just, you don't want to put in the effort. That's what it is. And you just have to overcome that part of yourself. But if you're stuck and you have extreme demotivation on a run, and you couldn't be bothered to practice or play, and what you want to do, like you know what you want to do, right? You're like, I know I want to do this run. I know how I'm going to do it. Here's my plan. If you've got a plan and you're not still learning what to do in general, then you don't have you don't have to stick to it. So change the freaking run. Do something else, because it's not worth it. Here's the real concise sentence. If you're stuck and you have extreme demotivation, it is not your fault because of effort. It's like you're not lazy. It's like what people tell you. It's like you'll be. I've said this to people, and I was wrong before in the past. I'll admit it. It's that I will tell people that, hey, you're lazy because you don't want to get this done. And just keep going. Do it regardless if you don't want to do it. Express yourself through the run. Do it your way. So here's the full concise sentence again, because I need to keep redoing this because I just start going off like an idiot. But if you're stuck because of extreme demotivation and grinding is not the issue, you just purely do not want to do it, and you found that, figure out what you like to do in the game and what you don't like, and try to get more of what you like in a different run and do that run instead. And it's not, and the problem is not because you're lazy, it's because you don't like your goals, and that's okay. Change them, because it's not a big deal to change your goals. It happens. People have to do it sometimes. David Goggins is not doing. It's like, why is David Goggins not going? I'm just mentioning him because it's the first thing that comes to my mind, of course. But why is he not still going for the push-up or the pull-up record? Well, maybe he doesn't freaking want to do any more pull-ups. Maybe he wants to take his skill of mental toughening and put it to a different discipline or field. You know, why? Yeah, that's the thing. You have to accept or be willing to change yourself. You have to do, have to do both. It's really tough, man. So that's all I've got to say. I know I went on for a while, but figured that would be a better thing to do, is to try and get all the little details out of it so that you can get a real human answer to the problem, instead of just, here's my written down essay, so or video essay like a lot of people make now. So thanks for listening to me. If you want to, if this helped you, let me know. I hope it did. If you want guides for runs, if you were just watching this for fun, I guess, or if you want to learn some new runs like crossbow no hit or SL1, I have, and any percent even, I have my strats. I have guides on the Team Hitless Discord. I've got lots of stuff on there. We got stuff on there from Person, Man. We got stuff on there from lots of different runners. So yeah, go check some of those guides out if you want to learn. And thanks for watching. I'll do more of these later, I think, about different things and like run processes and lots of theory. I want to keep talking about theory in the game. Not strats. Strats are stupid and boring, and everyone knows strats. All the good players talk about strats. No one talks about theory. So we'll talk about theory more on this channel, because that's what I like. So yeah, thanks for indulging in my podcast stuff. So bye. Good luck on your runs. If you want help, DM me and look at my stuff. And good luck.